Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
We are live at prisonplanet.tv, about to go to Mark Dice of the Resistance Manifesto.com, but finishing up with Daniel in Virginia. You had one other point you wanted to make, Daniel. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to say that this is not a two-party system. This is a two political wings of desolation system. And what I mean by that is I read the Bible a lot, and I read the book of Daniel. And the book of Daniel mentions about the desolation, the wings of desolation, and it's in chapter 9 of Daniel. And it tells about the desolation. And we are living in the times that we are under a two-wing political desolation system. And all they are is two wings on the same bird, and the bird is what they're giving to the American people. And I'm sick of it.
Absolutely, and I appreciate your call. What they are is two different management teams bidding for control of the CEO job of this sector of the global imperium. And it's on record now. I mean, they admit it. They are criminal. That's why they've militarized the police, train them to attack the people, train them to violate the law, because they're making their move, and they politically can't have us take the system back over and bring them to justice. Are you hearing about any CEOs to go to prison or any CEOs to get in trouble? You know, they've stole their trillions of dollars, and they say, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but we have a solution that'll save you, a new global bank to control the entire planet. Everything's going to be all right. The very banking group that engineered it is now openly announcing world government. And that's my first question for Mark Dice. We're going to play some clips of him calling into radio shows. He does this and really has a big effect with Sean Hannity and Bill O'Reilly and many others. He's also an author of the Resistance Manifesto, does a lot of great work. And he's also featured in our film, Truth Rising, the 9/11 Chronicles Truth Rising. He is Mark Dice. Mark, good to have you here with us today.
Thank you, and I share probably everybody's sentiment about the fears and the anxieties of the rapid erosion of our country. But I think that, I always try to look at the positive aspect, and I think that this current situation does present itself a good opportunity for us to educate people about what's going on. People are so selfish when we try to tell them about 9/11. They don't feel like they're directly connected. It's not them or their family members that are going over there and dying and fighting this bogus war, but now everybody's pocketbook is being hurt. Everyone's 401k is being eroded. Their jobs are disappearing. So now people are really looking for answers, and I think that this is a great opportunity for us now to really educate people as to what's going on.
Yeah, you got death threats, and the son of Ronald Reagan said you should be killed. He would pay for your murder. He contracted for murder on the air. He never got in trouble for that. He called you up, wanted to be buddy-buddy after he'd done it. That, of course, Michael Reagan, the fake conservative Judas goat, helping lead us into the New World Order, along with his liberal counterparts on the other side of this wing, the other wing on this bird of prey. And, of course, you had the idea for everybody to mail Loose Change Final Cut, Endgame, Terror Storm, some of the best films out there to the troops. I know that was done in mass. I've gotten reports back. It's having a huge effect with the troops, understanding how the terror attacks were staged and how special units of the U.S., British, and Israeli forces have been caught, mainstream news, staging terror attacks, dressed up like Arabs. And so that's having a big effect. I know that some of our information got to Pat Tillman. I know that he was going to go public about 9/11. He was going to go public about all sorts of issues, opium being grown over there, so they had to murder him. Again, another great idea you had, Mark.
Well, thanks, and that's one of the reasons why I continuously keep calling into these radio talk shows. It's partially to show, years ago it was to show that they are gatekeepers, that they're mockingbirds, that they won't talk about any real serious issues. But it's also a way to get the listeners to hear these particular issues and then go and Google them, because these people have millions of listeners. And if they just hear the word Bilderberg Group, if a question's brought about the Bilderberg Group, and they hear their hero and their idol, Sean Hannity or Michael Savage, not want to talk about it or deny that they know anything about it. Curiosity is going to get them. They're going to go and Google it. They're going to check it out on YouTube, on Google Video. And so that's a way that we can help to educate these people also. And that's why they're
And they've gotten to where they know your voice. We need more people to do this, don't we?
It's very difficult for me to do it now. The screeners know my voice, and I think that pretty soon they're going to go to a caller ID-based system, so they're going to know who it is that's even calling into the switchboard. So, it takes a lot of patience, but I have instructions on how to call into the shows on my website. Maybe we can talk about that later and get everybody to get onto the shows. And you can bypass the screener. You can sometimes get your call eliminated by the 7-second delay, but if you phrase it right, if you just ask a question and seem like you're ignorant, you're really curious, as opposed to just calling them up and slamming them, a lot of times you can get a certain issue brought out. Not particularly websites. Anytime anybody mentions a .com, they're going to cut the call. The 7-second delay will prevent that from even getting on the air. But you can ask them questions. It's a very, very difficult thing to do, but it's very, very important that everybody does this.
Well, I'll tell you one of the tricks I've used. I learned this. That's why I went and got an Access TV show almost 14 years ago and got on radio 13 years ago, is I was concerned about things I saw, gun control and things in Texas and other issues, and I would call in. This is when I was in college to talk shows. I was right out of high school, like 18, 19, and they wouldn't let me on, but then they let idiots on. And I learned to play the left-right paradigm and call in and act stupid. Then they put me on air, and I would then, be normal. But yeah, you don't try to jump in and get it out real fast. You're like, hey, on that topic, I wanted to get your take on this, on the Bohemian Grove and secret societies. You've denied that exists, but it's in mainstream news it exists. Why are you? And then once that's gotten out, once you've gone past the 10-second delay or whatever, you go further and you start then firing out websites and things.
Yeah, and a lot of callers think that it's probably like a show like yours where you just call up, you give your name and town, then you put it into the call log, but we have to feed your question to a screener that's going to screen out any issues that they don't want to talk about. So you have to come up with a couple different issues of the day, just have a comment about it. He loves it. I got through the other day because Sean Hannity has an online dating service for conservatives, Hannadate.com. So, I told the screener, I said, hey, I met my fiance on Hannadate.com. I just wanted to thank Sean Hannity. So she's like, this is great. Puts me right through onto the air. As soon as I got on, I asked him about the Bilderberg Group. And so you just have to come up with an interesting comment or question about one of the particular main stories that are swirling around for the day or for the week, and then you can get on the call log and bypass them that way.
Well done, Lord Vader.
Well, in some of these calls, post a lot of them. Dozens and dozens of them are on the internet, on my site, on YouTube. I don't know if you have any of those calls linked up, but people wonder why is it that these guys won't talk about these issues, and it all goes back to Operation Mockingbird, which was started back in the 50s. And this is not just me saying this or Alex saying this. There was a congressional hearing back in the 1970s, in the mid-70s, that uncovered that the CIA was paying reporters to plant stories and also gatekeep. And so you wonder why these issues don't make it out.
But now it's just admitted that the Pentagon alone spending $5 billion on domestic propaganda and buying reporters and planning stories. That's why it's everywhere. About, do you love America? Then love the military and join now to fight Al-Qaeda.
Here's a quote directly from the Church Committee Investigations. This is the report published in 1976. So this isn't me saying this. This isn't Alex Jones saying this. This is directly from a congressional hearing from the published report. And it says, quote, the CIA currently maintains a network of several hundred individuals around the world who provide intelligence for the CIA and at times influence public opinion through the use of covert propaganda. These individuals provide the CIA with direct access to a large number of newspapers, periodicals, scores of press services and news agencies, radio and television stations, commercial book publishers, and foreign media outlets. And back in the 70s, they were paying hundreds of millions of dollars a year.
And now it's tens of thousands. That's why there's CIA recruiting ads everywhere. They're just taking everything over.
And if you go back to the original writings of Adam Weishaupt in the Illuminati, they knew back in the late 1700s the power of the mainstream media. I have a bachelor's degree in communication. I studied mainstream media on a scholarly level, and if you look at Adam Weishaupt's own words, the original writings of the Illuminati were published and discovered back in 1786, and Weishaupt's own words, he says, by establishing reading societies and subscription libraries and taking these under our direction and supplying them with our labors, we may turn the public mind which way we will. And in a like manner, we will obtain influence in the military academies, printing houses, bookshops, chapters, and in short, all offices which have any effect in forming or managing or directing the mind of man. And so